Want to welcome you all tonight for what we are calling the Unite North Carolina Town Halls. Fayetteville is the fourth stop in a statewide tour, and we are going to have Lisette Rodriguez, one of your own, welcome us into the space tonight.
Hi everyone, like Gino said, my name is Lisette Rodriguez. I'm the Outreach and Engagement Organizer for Common Cause. Just started with them in March. And it's been great. But yeah, thank you guys for coming tonight. I just wanted to recognize some elected officials who are in the room. So if you are city council or commission or the mayor, if you guys want to stand up so we can just introduce you guys real quick. We have Mayor Colvin, we have Shaquilla Ingram, we have Councilman Benavente, and I'm so sorry, DJ Hare. Oh, I didn't recognize you with the hat. I'm sorry. Well, thank you guys for coming. And yeah, I'll turn it back over to Gino.
And a round of applause for our local officials who are here tonight. We also want to recognize your state lawmakers who are here tonight. So we have Representative Francis Jackson, Representative Charles Smith, and Senator Val Applewhite. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. The purpose of this town hall tonight is to talk about what is happening in Raleigh and to have our state lawmakers here to listen to you. So you're going to hear from a variety of people as we start this event, but primarily we want to hear from you tonight. So I know people don't always love getting in front of a group of people and speaking, but as the event is starting and you've got something and the spirit moves you, we want to hear from you tonight, because that's primarily why we are here. So my name is Gino Nuzalillo. I'm the campaigns manager at Common Cause North Carolina. And we like to start this event not only by learning what's happening at the state legislature, but by building some relationships in this room. So just like church, I want everyone to look to someone you don't know that's around you right now and introduce yourself real quick, all right? It'll be fun. Shake a hand, introduce yourself, say hi. Alrighty, you can feel the love in the room already. I know it's going to continue. As you're introducing yourself, come back in, come back in. Alrighty, thank you all for doing that, for introducing yourself to other people in the room tonight. See a lot of friendly and familiar faces here in Fayetteville, and we always love to come back to Fayetteville. So, everybody, why are we here tonight? Well, we are here tonight because just about over 200 days ago, if I did my math right, did not study math in school, the North Carolina General Assembly gavelled in for the 2023 legislative long session. That was January 11th of this year. How many of y'all have heard about something that has happened at the state legislature in Raleigh this year? Raise your hand. Everybody, and I'm sure every single one of you's got an opinion about what happened in the state legislature in Raleigh this year. So I want to ask a few questions to get us started all on the same base and see what you think. So first and foremost, I want you to raise your hand in this room if you want good health care for you and your family. All right. Look at that. Everybody wants good health care. Who would have thought? Raise your hand if you want the tax dollars that you pay to come back into your community. All right. Raise your hand, and this one is maybe a tough one, controversial. Raise your hand if you want clean air and safe water to drink. All right. Raise your hand if you want good, well-funded public schools. That's right. That's right. I hear some whoops in the crowd. Raise your hand if you want self-determination over your own body. That's right. And finally, I want you to raise your hand if you want a genuine voice in the future of your community with representatives who give a damn about you. All right. I think that one was an easy one. The reason we ask that is because when we start each of these events, Fayetteville's the fourth town hall that we've been doing. We started in Mint Hill, just outside of Charlotte. Then we went to Carthage and Moore County, and we were in High Point on Monday. And Every single room and every single event, it was unanimous raised hands just like it was here, because there is more that unites us as North Carolinians than divides us. So if we all agree, that's right, give a little round of applause to that. There's more that unites us than divides us. So if that is true, and we do all agree on more things than we disagree on, why don't we see that agenda coming out of Raleigh? Do we see that agenda coming out of Raleigh? No, because, come on, I can't hear you. I'm so far away from you. Is that agenda coming out of Raleigh? No. And that is in part why we are here tonight. As you can see, we have some of our state lawmakers who were willing or able to come tonight, and we are glad to have them there. And some folks who represent this county and this city did not come tonight, did not respond to our invitation to come. And we are here to make our voices heard about what has been happening in Raleigh regardless. Not only for the folks who are here who can tell us about their work and listen to what you have to say tonight, but through what we are capturing on camera and the live stream and your comments tonight, what we're going to share with lawmakers regardless if they show up or not. Does that sound okay to everybody? All right. So I want to talk a little bit about, we just mentioned the agenda that's not coming out of Raleigh, so I want to tell you all a little bit about what has come out of Raleigh. You ready for this? They always bring me to these events to really pump up the crowd, so you're going to hear the greatest hits tonight. Some of the things that have passed in the last 200 days as your legislative session has been in session are bills like HB 40. How many of you have heard about HB 40? A bill that makes it even more difficult and even more risky for you to show up and use your free speech. How many of y'all have heard about Senate Bill 747 or 749? Ring any bells? For those of you who didn't raise your hand, those are a couple of different bills. One that makes a number of dramatic changes to how you're going to vote in 2023 and 2024. Potentially, for example, eliminating the 3-day grace period that North Carolinians have enjoyed for their mail-in ballots. How many of you voted by mail in an election before? A good number of you. Under one of the provisions of the laws that are introduced in the General Assembly right now, about 15,000 ballots in 2020 that came in within that 3-day grace period for mail-in ballots would be invalidated through no fault of the voter themselves if this law had been in place. Not only that, it unnecessarily complicates same-day registration. How many of y'all know a college student, or you yourself have used same-day registration in North Carolina before, or know someone who has? For a lot of our college students, of which there are multiple institutions of higher education in this city, it potentially raises that they have 2 or 3 documents to show just to prove their identity, especially if they're coming here to North Carolina for the first time, and to be able to vote. Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I was 18, no way in hell I was going through all those documents just to try to show up to vote in some of these elections. So we know what the impact of that is, and there's a lot more to that bill. I want to know how many of y'all have heard about SB 20. This is a bill, maybe you'll hear about it here. You'll know what I'm talking about here. Oh, did you get that fly? No. SB 20 was the bill that banned access to abortion in North Carolina after 12 weeks. How many of y'all have heard about that now? That's right. Regardless of how you feel about it in this room, and I'm sure we've got a lot of different opinions, I think we can all agree that the government telling us what we can and can't do with our bodies is not something that we can agree on. All of you raised your hands about self-determination over our body. That's right. There are bills like SB 582, the Farm Act of North Carolina that removes over 2.5 million acres of wetlands, crucial to water quality and other environmental concerns from protection in this state. And we even have bills, how many of y'all have heard about HB 823 and public schools and vouchers and charter schools? How many of y'all have heard about that bill in the General Assembly? Many of you. A bill like that threatens to siphon $200 million annually from our public schools to charter schools that don't have the same regulation and oversight that our public schools do. And how many of you think that our public schools can afford to lose $200 million annually? Absolutely not. The last thing I want to say before we start getting this event, you hear from some of the folks who have sponsored why we're here tonight, there's a budget being considered right now. They're going to go back next week. Isn't that right, Senator Applewhite? They're going to talk about the budget. The 14th now. Now, this budget that is proposed, is currently in the Senate right now, provides tax cuts to the richest North Carolinians. The North Carolina Budget and Tax Center estimates that it would deprive North Carolina's state coffers of up to $7.6 billion annually. Now, I want to ask y'all a question. When it comes to an issue like ending hunger in North Carolina, I want to hear someone guess, how much do you think it would cost to end hunger each year in North Carolina? Throw out a number. 33, was that million? 33 million. Let me hear another one. $1 billion. One more guess. Don't be shy. It would be $775 million, the Budget and Tax Center estimates. So think about that. $7.6 million lost in tax revenue. It would take $775 million of investment to make sure no one goes hungry in this state. Is that tax dollars being invested back in your community? Absolutely not. So that is just a little bit of what has been considered and what has been on the agenda and what has been passed in the General Assembly. Now, the session is still ongoing. We know, for example, that our voting maps are going to get redrawn. And so we are here tonight in this crucible of this year to hear from all of you and to talk a little bit about what's happening in the General Assembly. Now, because people are a little bit hesitant to speak and want to kind of ease into it, and no one ever wants to be the first one, we have a couple of organizations who are here tonight. They are sponsoring this event, their materials are in the back, and because they've been part of this, we want you to know a little bit about them and want you to hear from them, because they're also going to talk about why they're here and the issues at the state and local level that matter to them. So we are going to start there. Each of our organizations is going to get 2 minutes to speak tonight. Bob Phillips, will you stand up and raise your hand? If you are speaking tonight, Bob Phillips is the one who's going to give you the little, he's going to very gently and very nicely tell you when it is time to stop speaking. So we ask that when you come up to the mic that's right here, or if you're close enough and you want to come up here, that you heed the 2 minutes so everyone who wants to speak can. So the last thing that we want to make sure that you know about are 2 more things. One, we are nonpartisan here. We've asked our elected officials to be here in their elected capacity. We ask that you focus on the issues that matter to you and less about the party. We realize that folks got a lot of opinions on a lot of things. This is not a place to stump for your candidate party of choice, but we do want you to speak truth. We want to speak what matters to you. And if you are a candidate who's running, please feel free to mention it, but also remember that this is not a stump speech tonight, all right? Something we can all agree on? Wonderful. Last thing, each of you's got an index card on your chair. If you've got a question tonight, please at any time, and if you need a writing utensil, we'll have Lisette or we'll have Sailor raise y'all's hand coming around, and they'll make sure you get a writing utensil and you can write your questions. And we've got a little gray magic box of mystery that you can put your questions in. We'll try to get to as many as we can tonight. So without further ado, let us get into it. No one wants to hear me talk this long, so we are going to stop right here, and we're going to invite our first of many partners who are here tonight. I'm going to invite up the Fayetteville NAACP, President Mr. Buxton, if you want to come up and speak first. And we're going to get this event on the road. Come on up, sir. Let me get my food out of the way, unless you want some of it.
No. Good evening, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to partner with Common Cause for this town hall meeting. Our political action chair, who helped plan this, I ask that you keep her in prayer. She was in an accident today, Miss Crystal Edmonds, and keep her in prayer. She's doing okay, but she was supposed to have been here, but she couldn't be here. 2 things I want to let people know about, well, 3 really. One, our life membership banquet will be the 26th of September at Iron Mike at Fort Liberty. Miguel, could you come forward? Also, we're planning a town hall meeting at the Umoja Festival on the 26th of August. And we're, Cindy, now we don't have 2 minutes, so y'all got to make this fast. You talk slow, so come on.
Okay, as correction on the banquet, that's on the 16th of September at Iron Mike. 16th of September, thank you. So good to be here among all the activists here in Cumberland County. We are starting our registration drives here. We'll have, okay. We're having one at the I Love My Community event on the 19th of August at the old Walmart on Murchison Road. And then we'll have on the 26th at the Umoja Festival, we'll have voter education drive there. And then we'll also be participating with the Ministerial Council at the courthouse on the same date at the steps there. Thank you. Come on.
Oh, he said, go ahead. Okay, I am going to be very quick. Good evening, my name is Cindy. I am the education chair for the NAACP here in Cumberland County. As a partner with the Cumberland County Schools, the NAACP Education Committee and its coalition partners would like to invite each and every one of you to our forum on August 26th, 1 p.m. at the Emoji Festival. It will be inside the building. We continuously seek to encourage community stakeholders and community partners to be more involved with the education of our children here in Cumberland County. We hope to inform and share information with you during that forum. And if you have any more questions or you want to speak to me or fill out a card at the back at the table, I'll be more than happy to send you more information. Thank you.
Thank you to the Fayetteville branch of the NAACP for being with us tonight. We are also joined by our friends at Fayetteville Pride, who we'd like to invite up. I know it's you got a long walk up, my friend, to introduce themselves to you, the issues they focus on, and why they are up here tonight. So we will give Caden just a moment here. This is always the fun part, as the anticipation builds, and you walk up here. So thank you to Fayetteville Pride for being here and co-sponsoring tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to be here with you. I appreciate you coming out with us. I just have a few things to say. My name is Caden Blaylock. I am a member of Fayetteville Pride Board. I'm a husband, a father, a healthcare worker, an older brother, and a son. I carry a lot of the roles, but those are the most important ones. But also, I'm a transgender man. I'm here today on behalf of Fayetteville Pride and also to speak out against the astonishing number of anti-LGBTQIA laws that have been introduced, most of them attacking trans people. There are currently 10 anti-trans bills in North Carolina at this time. House Bill 43 prohibits transgender surgeries for trans children. Hidden in that text that follows, it also prohibits the use of puberty blockers. They don't seem like a big deal in passing. And why does it matter exactly? It stops them from going through the puberty that doesn't match what they feel. When they go on these puberty blockers, it doesn't have any negative effect on their body. It doesn't have any long-standing problems that follow. If they decide to transition in adulthood, they begin hormone replacement therapy. And in that hormone replacement therapy, they go through the puberty that matches what they feel. Should they decide not to transition, they stop the puberty blockers, they go through the puberty that matches what they are, and that's the end of it. It saves them from years of depression, suicidal thoughts, and multiple surgeries in adulthood. I won't educate you on the effects of all the bills. I'll ask that you research and consider the safety of the children battling the suicidal thoughts every day. Your vote affects our future. There isn't much to live for if you can't receive medical care because of a decision that wasn't even made by your doctor. In all fairness, if a child is comfortable at home, they deserve to be whatever they need to be in order to grow into a moderately successful adult. Those students, they matter to us. They matter to our community. They matter to your children. Please vote accordingly. Thank you and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you to our friends at Fayetteville Pride, and thank you, Caden, for coming up and speak. Next, our next co-sponsor of this event that we want to hear from for a few minutes tonight is the Fayetteville chapter of NOW, and I see Pam Carver, and I'm very glad you are here, my friend. Come on up, and you've got 2 minutes to speak.
Good evening. It's good to see such a large crowd. I was so happy when we pulled in the parking lot and there were cars. It's really hard to get a crowd out in Fayetteville sometimes. But I am Pam Carver, and I am the current president of the local chapter of NOW, which is the National Organization for Women. And we try to express for because we do have male members that support women. So if you're so inclined, we welcome all of you to join us. And we support women's issues, which in turn are family issues. We support constitutional equality. We support the ERA. We support reproductive rights, not just the right to choice, but for you to have the reproductive care that you need. If you're needing medicines or procedures to help you become pregnant or help you regulate when you have children, we support all those things. We work to combat racism, LGBTQ rights we stand for, stopping for violence against women, and economic justice. On Saturday, August 19th, we are sponsoring an equality event at North Regional Library from 2 to 4. We will have speakers there from Equal Means Equal, celebrating Women's Equality Day, and so we hope that you'll join us for that occasion.
All right, friends, we are cooking with gas now, and we are soon getting to you and to hearing from you tonight, but we've got a few more folks we want to introduce to you as we get closer to hearing from the rest of y'all. So next, we're going to invite up our friends from Black Voters Matter to tell you a little bit about themselves and the issues that they're fighting on in the state as well. Come on up.
I'm short. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia. I am the new state organizing manager for Black Voters Matter. I also have Sayin with me. He is one of our regional organizers for the Eastern region. So we are definitely here to support the work that Common Cause is doing. We really want to make sure that folks are empowered, inspired, and educated. It's time to unite and see. So see us at our table in the back. We have some resource guides, some merch, some swag. So come hear us, hear what we're about as we support Common Cause and Unite and See. Thank you.
All right, I think I got to everybody who's, red, white, and blue. I see y'all in the back. Sorry, Angela. I thought I was missing somebody. We have one more organization who's speaking tonight from Red, White, and Blue, and then we're gonna get to everyone who signed up to speak here. So yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. And Mr. Justin, is we able to use this microphone? Do we just need to turn it on? Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Oh, it's good. Okay, so you all can hear me okay. All right, great. Hi, my name is Angela Levine. I'm a regional organizer with Red, Wine, and Blue. Yes, I did say wine, not wait. We are a nationwide organization of about 500,000 women strong. And we have organizing operations on the ground in 5 different states right now, one of them being North Carolina. And I am the regional organizer who is going to be working with Cumberland, Hoke, and Scotland counties. So hopefully y'all are going to be seeing a little bit of me. I'll tell you a little bit about Red, Wine, and Blue. We exist to amplify and mobilize the diversity of suburban women. And we organize around the issues that they tell us they care about. I like to tell people primarily we are an education organization. We are providing information, training, messaging assistance, everything that is needed to equip women for advocacy and activism in working on the issues they care about to make their communities better. Some of the issues that, that women tell us they care about are really under attack from extremists and from extremist legislation. I would tell you a few of the issues that we hear about all the time from folks are reproductive choice, LGBTQ and race discrimination, public education, gun violence. Those are kind of like the top four, and it really doesn't matter where we are in the country, those are the ones that we are hearing over and over and over again. And even here in North Carolina, there's plenty to fight on those fronts. So I would love to give you all more information, help you get plugged in to some of the online events we have, the trainings, and just talk to you a little bit more about how we can teach you how to use our secret sauce, which is relational organizing, to impact not only people coming out and to advocate with you, but also helping turn people out at the polls during election times. So we've got a table in the back. Come by and see me. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, y'all. All right. Now we are ready. A few guidelines before we get started and start hearing from you all. One more round of applause for all the organizations who came out tonight. So, when you get up here to speak, of course, some of your state lawmakers are here to listen to you. At the end of this event, we're going to give each of them a chance, a few minutes, to respond to what they heard from you and share a little bit about what they've been doing in the General Assembly. So please know that that happens. If you have a specific question that comes up of one of your lawmakers or something you want to say in particular, we will also give them a chance to respond to that in real time as well as part of the conversation that we're having here. Each person will get 2 minutes. Make sure you look at Bob Phillips as that's happening. And again, we are striving to maintain or to be nonpartisan. And if it helps, if you are thinking you've got something you want to say, but you're a little bit unsure of how to frame it, the 2 questions that we are asking folks in particular are, what do you want your state lawmakers to know, those in this room or those who are in Raleigh? And what do you want for the future of North Carolina? Many folks find that that is also something that they want to speak to about what they want the future of the state to look like. So I've got a list here of the people who have signed up already. We're going to start with those folks first. And then we'll open it up and have people raise their hands, and we'll come up and we'll keep going until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Is that right, Bob? Yeah. We would love to spend the whole night with you. So first one up that we have is Sharon Johnson. Ms. Sharon Johnson, are you in the room?
I am in the room, but I'm past. Go to the next name.
All right. Are you sure?
I'm absolutely sure.
All righty. Then the next person I have who has signed up to speak is Michelle Dillon. Michelle Dillon. We can, we'll get a mobile, come up to here, or if you'd like us to bring a mobile microphone, we can do that as well. We'll get one roving. Thank you, Justin. Everyone, big round of applause for Justin here. He's doing amazing. What was that, sir? Oh, okay. Then that's fine. We will use this one then. All right, Ms. Dillon, the floor is yours. Oh, try testing again. Oh, should be good now.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Michelle Dillon, and I am from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I will be running for City Council in District 3. But my question is teacher pay. I'm an ex-educator for about 17 years, so I want you all to see how we're going to pay these teachers, the bus drivers, custodians, cafeteria workers, you know, front desk clerk, media clerks. They need a pay raise. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And we'll make sure to bring that up again as well when they speak at the end to talk a little bit about that. Next person I have signed up to speak tonight is Amanda Williams. Amanda Williams. In the room. All right, come on up, my friend. Give a little round of applause. Thank you for being here.
I'm most concerned about the way things are going to look when we get ready to vote in November. the laws that have been passed to supposedly make voting better and to protect the integrity of the vote concerns me, because the way lawmakers come out and they want to hear from us as it relates to redistricting and how the lines should be drawn is fluff, really, because we share what we want, no matter what our political affiliation is, and lawmakers always seem to do the exact opposite of what we want. I'd like to see an independent commission be established to help with drawing districts, because unfortunately, it does not appear that it is something that we can trust our officials with. They just don't do right by the voter. It appears that they do right by themselves because they want to make sure that they remain in power. And that's not a good look, nor is it a good fit for the people of North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, next, I just got it whispered in my ear, Ms. Angela Malloy. I hope I'm saying your name right. Come on up. You've got the best hat in the room. No offense to anyone else who's wearing other hats, so come on in.
Good afternoon. What I want to know, so we know that SB 20 is up there. With me being a community-based doula, we're part of a project across North Carolina. We have doctors that are trying to figure out how to function in providing services. Just in the last 2 weeks alone, I have had 3 women come to me because they have experienced a miscarriage, but they can't get into their provider because it's less than the weeks, and providers are nervous about having mothers come in. They are now utilizing the ER as a place of care. We have 2 women that have come to us in the last 3 weeks that are utilizing the ER for getting ultrasounds because they are high risk for experiencing a miscarriage. And so what I want to find out is, how are our providers, I hear the conversations that are happening with our doctors at Duke and at UNC, and they don't know what to do. So while we have this bill, what's being done to have a conversation with our lawmakers on the other side to find out, in the midst of this, how are we going to support our doctors so that our mothers in our communities can get the care that they need? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I see all 3 of them up here are furiously writing down what you all are saying, so I appreciate you asking those questions, and we're going to make sure it all gets covered. So unless, Ms. Johnson, you have decided you do want to speak, we will move to asking folks to raise your hands if you've heard. Yes, okay, I see right in the front with your glasses. Both of you have glasses on. The person who's closer to me, and then I see you in the very back. Sorry, not knowing y'all's names is a little hard, but then we'll get to you next. But thank you, come on up.
Hi, my name is Satoya Wright. Not only am I a client, I'm the president of an organization that we have in Cumberland County. It's called Single Parents from the Hood. And Gino asked the question, what is it that we want the lawmakers to understand? That we want to know is that sometimes we're born in situations that causes us to reproduce certain situations. And without the education, it's going to continue. So we're here tonight to look to partner with the Common Cause so that we can eliminate the cause. And our mission is to pursue and you shall recover. You can't recover when you don't know what the issue is. So our motivation is to help single parents pursue the issues that cause single parenting, help them find the resources to recover what was lost. I am a graduate from Fayetteville State. I have a degree in psychology. I also have a degree from Fayetteville Tech. I am a natural hairstylist. But even though with all the education that was provided, we still get jammed up sometimes because emotions, right? And we don't have the proper techniques or the tools to get us out of those situations. So yeah, we can go to DSS and get help for housing. We can go down to get help for food, but unless you have the education to understand how you got jammed up, it's just gonna be a continuing cycle. So just continue to look out for us, and y'all have a good day.
Come on up, and then we'll come to you next. And friends, please blame Bob Phillips. There were much more sign-in sheets I didn't have in my hands of folks who wanted to speak, so we've got a longer list coming on up. So feel free to come on up. We'll come to you next, right after our friend who's coming up here. And I should also remind, please introduce yourself when you come up and tell us where you're coming from tonight as well.
My name is Crystal Maddox. I'm from Fayetteville Pride. I'm one of the board members. And what I want to discuss is a problem that we're going to see an increase here in North Carolina, and that's our children of the rainbow community. For those of you that don't know, in the future, if our children come out to a teacher, a guidance counselor, any mentor in the public school system, that official is going to be forced to out the child to their parents. This could be very dangerous. This could cause more children to commit suicide. This could cause more children to end up on the streets of Fayetteville because they're going to be thrown out of their homes. And a lot of people are not aware of this situation, and we already know how bad it is now. This law is only going to make it worse. And we need to be a community that backs up the statements we say when we say we're going to take care of our children. If you're going to force people to have children, take care of them.
Good evening. I am Benet Anise Kathy, and I've been part of Fayetteville all my life. And my issue is more like the water issues in my neighborhood. The neighborhood started back in the 1957, the 60s. I was told it was built on top of water, and after years passed, the water is coming up through mostly ranch homes that had to use sump pumps for the waters under the house that causes mold and deterioration of the property. Now, I've been working with Power Up and Mario Benavente, and our Senator Charles Smith is also aware of the situation. It is a tragedy that our homes were built on top of water, and we made our parents not knowing, an all-black community, military community, what was going on. And they always told them it was their problem, their property, their problem. We need the city, the state, to come and give our funds that we pay our tax money for to help fund to get rid of the water issues. There's even a woman whose house is basically coming apart. There's mold everywhere. It's just cracks everywhere. And this is what I'm here for Echoes Park area. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for reminding us, too, that as we are focused on these issues at the local level, there is a role for the state to play, and the state is failing in its responsibility to many of our communities, especially on environmental issues. I want to invite up next Ann Schrader.
Let's see here. Let me pull this up. So, good evening. Thank you so much for your time and your service to our community. My name's Ann Schrader, and I'm the owner and founder of Eco Solutions, a local sustainability consultancy. Eco Solutions was founded during the global pandemic, and after decades-long personal and family businesses were impacted by environmental disasters that include Hurricane Matthew here in Fayetteville in 2016. Today's environmental and climate crises is unprecedented. It's undeniable. It's tangible. and it is the defining challenge of our time. You only have to step outside to feel record-breaking temperature changes. And NASA recently reported that July 2023 was the hottest month ever recorded. And also, we can read the headlines reporting of historical droughts and threats to our water resources, including the Cape Fear River, or watch the nightly news and witness devastating forest fires and threats to our, witness devastating forest fires, smoke and air pollution, unprecedented flooding, and the loss and displacement of millions of lives and ecosystems, with hurricanes Matthew and Florence costing our state over $20 billion in damages. The cost of inaction is far more destructive and expensive than all of the benefits of sustainable action. And more often than not, these impacts are experienced the most by those communities that contribute to them the least. In closing, today's all-American city is a more unified and sustainable city that harmonizes social equity, environmental stewardship, as well as economic responsibility. And I ask that we all come together, and community leaders, as well as policymakers, and help lead these critical and needed initiatives by example. Thank you for your time and attention this evening.
Alrighty, my friends, now we have exhausted, unless there is a sign-in sheet that is hiding somewhere. You want to come up? Yeah, come on up. Now at this point, friends, the early birds got the worm, and so if you are someone who is now feeling like you want to speak, we'll raise your hand after each person goes. And yeah, good to go there, right, Justin? Perfect. Go on.
Hi, my name is Melissa Baker. I am currently finishing up my bachelor's in criminal justice. My first question is in reference to gun violence. There were 44 lives taken in 2002 from homicide, the oldest being 72 and the youngest being 10 months. My question is, what are y'all doing to break down those numbers of homicides in Fayetteville? My second question is, with all the gun violence in Fayetteville and the deaths, what do you have in place to help families of the victims? Do you have an advocacy for the families? I lost my son about 5 years ago to gun violence. I know Riley has advocacy place to help these families, but I've noticed that I have not seen one in Fayetteville. So, thank you.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you very much for sharing, and it is a poignant moment to remember as well that one of the bills that was passed in the state legislature this year was a bill known as SB 41 that made it even easier for people to get access to handguns in counties all across this state, and that Governor Cooper's veto of that bill was overridden. And so I appreciate you sharing, my friend, and wanted to make sure we mentioned that as well as another big, important state issue. Who would like to speak next? Don't be shy. Yep, come on up, my friend.
Hi, my name is Devin Newton. I work for Cumberland County Community Development. We deal with affordable housing, homeless issues in the community. A couple of years ago, we had a study, and it turned out that we were about 20,000 units short in affordable housing in the community. I know that I've heard that there's a $3 billion surplus anticipated this year on top of the $6 billion surplus from previous years. We, every year, have about 7 or 8 developers who submit for the, we have several developers who submit for about 7 or 8 projects for the low-income housing tax cuts. As you know, only 1 or 2 is awarded in each community, so if that, each year. And doing the math, if you look at a 48-unit property at $12 million, to make 20,000 units, that's going to cost us about $500 million. I just think that that's something you should approach your your coworkers with about using for the surplus money. Okay.
Sounds like another thing that $7.6 billion in tax cuts to the richest North Carolinians could go to, am I right? All right, who wants to speak next? Yes, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Toni Morris. I would like to talk to legislators and ask them a big favor. As we are getting ready to go into Medicaid expansion, okay, I would ask that you not only look at the medical providers when you're looking at rates of pay. Please think about your nurse practitioners, your mental health therapists, your licensed clinical social workers, because while you're giving the doctors a higher rate of pay, the people who are really doing the work, who are your therapists and nurse practitioners, their rate of pay is not coming in as high as the doctors. So as you are looking at the budget, I would appreciate it if you consider looking at those areas to increase their rate of pay. You're going to lose therapists, you're going to lose nurse practitioners, you're going to lose PAs, and then we're going to be in the same shape we were in before, even if you do expand Medicaid. So let's increase the rate of pay for those so we can keep good providers here in North Carolina. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. As we get ready for the next person to speak, feel free to raise your hand. Also want to say, if you've got something that you also feel like maybe is a little bit unpopular to say or a little bit different than everybody else, just want you to know that this is also your time. Everyone's going to get 2 minutes to speak tonight. So if any part of you is feeling nervous, I support you because I support everyone who is speaking tonight. So who would like to speak next, friends? We've got a good amount of time to keep going here before we turn it to our state lawmakers to respond to what they heard. Yep, come on up. Oh, I see that. I see APREF, not our APRI friends, but come on.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joyce Fowler, and I'm a community organizer with the North Carolina A. Philip Randolph Educational Fund, also Vice President of the North Carolina Fayetteville chapter of APRI. And I'd like to say this, too. I'm also a trustee with 959 United Steelworkers here in Fayetteville. I'm very proud of that position, but I did want to introduce myself. Some of you people some people out here have seen me. They might not know me by name. I'm sorry, I'm not a public speaker, but they know me by face. But the only thing I'm going to say, we're going to be out in the neighborhoods, and we're going to be out here in 2023, and we are going to be out here in 2024 like little ants crawling around Fayetteville. The only thing that I asked you, and I'm putting it out there, be kind to our workers. Be kind to our phone bankers, because we will be calling 2 and 3 times, maybe 3 or 4 times, maybe 5, 6 times, and we will be knocking on doors. Only thing that we asked you to do is just give us a few minutes of your time. Be registered to vote, because that's part of my job. If I don't say it, Mr. Mumford will probably beat me over the head. I had an opportunity to say it, but I did want to introduce myself to everybody out here, and thank you so much, and remember to vote.
All right, thank you very much. And that's a good time to ask, again, Bob Phillips wouldn't let me leave this room if I didn't. How many of you are registered to vote? Oh, yeah, look at that. And how many of you, because of the way that the laws have changed in North Carolina this year, have a photo voter ID to vote? Raise your hand. How many of you are not sure if your photo ID qualifies? Yeah, we got a few. We want to make sure not only that part of what we are doing here tonight is looking ahead to the elections locally in 2023 and statewide in 2024. If you are curious and you want to learn more about that, we do have materials from the North Carolina State Board of Elections here in the back tonight. Make sure you pick those up because the laws have changed and they will continue to change before the legislative session is out. And with that, we still got time for a few more speakers. Who would like to speak next? Yeah, come on up, Pam. Oh, and then, sorry, Mr. Source, come up right after. Actually, Mr. Source, is it okay if Mr. Source goes first and then, or you go first, Pam? And then you come on up.
Well, he pointed at me.
No, you're good. Go ahead, and then we'll get to you.
Okay, I'm up to continue on the budget. As a retired teacher, I worked for almost 30 years, and every year the legislature told me, we don't have any money. We don't have any money to give raises. Well, now you've got surpluses. So instead of giving tax cuts, I'm not going to benefit from it, but our school system will and our young teachers, because we're losing teachers. Also, I would like for y'all to make sure that you, think in the last budget, there was a new item put in for SANE nurses. This has been one of the issues that Fayetteville now has worked on, and we, through our Senator Deviere and Representative Billy Richardson, was put into the budget to do a study, got money for our rape crisis center and the SANE nurse program. So we want to continue that in our community also. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carver. Now your time, sir. Come on up.
My name is Joseph Source. I'm a retired educator. The future of North Carolina. I'd like to see a legislature that votes for policies that care for me. I'm Joe Source, the average Joe. But, you know, passing policies for a very few doesn't help me. It doesn't help any of us. And cutting taxes doesn't help. It doesn't help because we've got so much over budget, so we should be able to use that money back to the communities that we are involved with. Tax cuts don't mean anything to me. I'm not going to get a tax cut because I'm not rich. But education is important. The things that are important is what our legislators should be passing policies on. You want to cut taxes? Cut my vehicle tax. I'm tired of paying. I'm tired of paying for my vehicle's tax every year when I already paid sales tax on it when I bought it. So we need to have a legislature that thinks about everybody, not just a few. We've got to be involved with the community, and I appreciate you listening to me tonight, and I appreciate you, what you do up there. I know you work hard, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Source. Sounds like you've got a platform and a candidacy in bloom, maybe. All right, folks, all right, I see one there. We got about 1, 2, I see you in the back, and we might have time for one more person after that. So if you've got something burning, this is your time. We have about 3 people left, and then we'll turn it over to our lawmakers in attendance. Thank you, my friend.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alice. I'm a resident here of Fayetteville and an Army wife. I'm also the communications director of Equal Means Equal. So Fayetteville gets some extra equal rights love because I happen to be here. And I just kind of wanted to piggyback off of what a lot of other people said. You know, it's not just enough anymore to be the lesser of two evils, okay? I just got back from Seneca Falls and the 175th anniversary of the Women's Rights Convention, where Generation Ratify organized the ERA Centennial Convention. And that's the overwhelming thing I heard from the people who were 80 and the people who were 17, that being the lesser of two evils and just saying you're gonna help us and saying you're on our side is not enough. We need actions. Things like the fact that we have a fully ratified constitutional amendment that would make all these laws against women and the LGBTQ community unconstitutional from coast to coast, just sitting there, and so many of our leaders are not doing anything about it. That is the kind of thing that you could easily take action on, and so many of you aren't. And we need you all to put your money where your mouth is, because we're getting real tired of giving you money in volunteer hours for you to tell us to vote, and you'll get it done next year.
There you go. All right. You, my friend in the back, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Adam Millett, and I'm actually a student here. For the most part, my issue is the future of my nieces. Like, I'm okay being a little uncomfortable for a few years if it means they don't have to suffer. I have a 5-year-old, Charlie. She's like the scary Halloween weird one, you know, she wants to be a special effects artist. What if Charlie is gay? I mean, gay marriage was legalized not that long ago. What if that right is taken away? Is she going to be allowed to marry, to vote, to own property, to serve in the military? My middle niece, Meadow, she's 3. She's the girly, feminine, likes pink, bubbly, happy one. My sister says she's going to be a pageant queen and a dispensary. What if my middle niece has fertility issues? You know, she's barren, infertile, whatever the common medical vernacular is in that age. And the second she does become pregnant, it's an ectopic pregnancy. It's a death sentence. My youngest niece, Alara, she's 2. She's the curious tinkerer. She's the intelligent one. She's going to be a neurosurgeon. What if Alara wants to become Elliot? She wants to transition and be a boy. Now, I'm not trans, but I've heard the horror stories of people in the 80s and the 90s who have to go through less than legal means to transition, and the difficulty of getting on hormone therapy but not hormone blockers, and the difficulties emotionally and physically that poses for them. I can't speak for everybody here, but I am fine suffering a little bit if it means they don't have to in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And this will probably be our last speaker, but if anybody is urgent and burning the vote, yeah, we'll go to you right after that, sir. But go ahead.
Hi, my name is Janice. I actually snuck over here from Hope County. We don't get a lot of attention over there being as small as we are.
We're coming to you in September, don't you worry.
And I agree with a lot of the stuff that I've already heard brought up. One thing I would like to touch on is advocacy for the disabled. There's a limitation on how much money they can keep in the bank. And people don't really think about accessibility issues. But the thing is, every single one of us will probably become disabled at some point in our life. As we age, our eyesight gets worse. Our ability to keep our balance, to walk around, gets worse. This really is an issue for everybody. You know, you could have a car accident tonight and you could become a member of the disabled population. So it's something that really needs to be taken into consideration.
Thank you. Come on up. This will probably be our last speaker. We'll give our friend Lisette here in a moment, but then we'll turn it to our state lawmakers after that.
Good evening, I'm Kirk Deviere. First, thank you all for being here. I know it's difficult, and thank you for serving. I know the time that it takes away from your families and just in general. I think it's important when we talk about the future of North Carolina. So what I'd ask is, when we look at the future of North Carolina, we want to make sure a lot of things that we're talking about tonight, we need to have safe and fair elections to do that, first and foremost, or our vote's not going to matter. So as you make your comments tonight, I know from my time in the Senate that a lot of bills get floated that never actually get to become a law. And so there's a lot of talk about different laws that are out there. So as we look at fair elections and we look at safe and fair elections, can you, in your comments, if you have an opportunity, or one of you, can you speak to what you think is going to actually become law? So there's a lot of election laws floating around, a lot of voter integrity bills floating around. What do you think we're actually going to see become law in your best estimate? I think that's helpful to this group. It's important that we have a fair election, a safe election, but more importantly, it's important that all these issues that people are talking about, that we're able to vote on them. So if y'all can address that, that would be helpful, because I think it's important, especially I know to this organization. So thank you, that's fine.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. And with that, now we're going to turn it to our 3 lawmakers who are here. We'll start with you, Sorry. We'll start with you, Senator Applewhite. Each lawmaker will get about 4 minutes Cool. Each lawmaker will get about 4 minutes to respond. Mr. Phillips will be keeping the time for you.
Is this on?
And we'll get started now. We'll start with you first.
Can you hear me? Okay, it is on. Well, thank you to Common Cause for putting this together, and Bob Phillips, I see you more in the General Assembly than other legislators, and thank you for everyone for coming out today. I'm Val Applewhite, Senate District 19, and I'll say to you all that you all are preaching to the choir, to the three of us that are up here. There's nothing that you said this evening that I think I'm safe in saying that we disagree with. So one of the things that I want to let you know is, the status in Raleigh right now, and both in the House and the Senate, we don't hold the supermajority. Our Republican friends hold the supermajority. So what does that mean to you all? A lot of the bills that are coming forth, that these horrible bills that you are, some of you mentioned tonight, we don't really have a say in it. We've put together some pretty awesome bills, but they never get out of committee. So they never actually get to the floor, go through committee to be voted on. So all of these horrible bills, HB 40, 747, 749, SB 20. I'll say SB 20, we got out of session, and that night we found out that it was a thing. We didn't even get a chance to read it. So I just want you all to be clear that we advocate as much as we can. I can tell you in the Senate, it's 30-20. They don't need one Democratic vote. We can't change the outcome of most of the votes. So what we do is we offer impassioned amendments to their bills, and I hate this statement, let it lie upon the table. That makes me so crazy. So what that means, if you offer an amendment, it lies upon the table and it can't be brought up again in the session. So we do the best that we can to make valid points, to voice your concerns on the floor. And we're pretty good at getting them to say some kind of crazy things that we kind of wow, did they really say that? But, that's how it is in the Senate. I wrote down a lot of the issues that you mentioned. I will tell you that I think, was it Amanda? You mentioned redistricting. Myself and Down Home and some other advocates, I introduced an independent redistricting commission bill. It was pretty thorough. We worked on it for probably a year, right? And I introduced it, and it just never got out of committee, right? We put a lot of work into that. I don't have to tell you about SB 20. That was a hard bill. Reproductive rights. Senator Devier, former Senator Devier, you mentioned about voting rights, which bills that we think will come to pass. What we call 747, the jumbo jet of voter suppression, and SB 749. I hate to say that they originated in the Senate, but it looks like these things are going to come to pass. And we'll vote on it. The governor will probably veto it, and then they'll override it. But from what I can tell right now, we can kind of count on those two. Maybe some changes, some tweaks that will happen to it, but we don't know right now. We've been out of session for 2 or 3 weeks now. Democrats have been at home because the Republicans in the House and the Republicans in the Senate can't agree, but we kind of know the issues. But I know I'm running out of time. Our teachers' pay, we heard yesterday, we had a caucus meeting, then it looks like it might be a 7%, 3 in the first year of the biennium and 4 in the second. But you already know that we have a 5,000 teacher shortage, and those small pay increases are just not going to help us. So, Bob, I know that I'm out of time, and hopefully I can address some of the other issues that you all brought up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey, Representative Smith, I'll just add one thing for the folks keeping track at home. Just want to make sure. So we've got Senate Bill 747. That's what Senator Applewhite was mentioning. That is the omnibus elections bill that makes a number of changes, most of them nonsensical, or proposes to make a number of changes to our elections. And then there is Senate Bill 749, Second one, Senator Applewhite mentioned, that creates intentional gridlock in our elections administration in a way that gives more power to the General Assembly and the majority in the General Assembly, and I'll let you fill in the blank on who that is. Representative Smith, you're up next.
Yeah, first, just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank all the sponsors of this event. See a lot of familiar faces, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Charles Smith. I represent House District 44, which is fully encompassed within the Fayetteville city limits. I wish I had more than 4 minutes. I wrote a lot down, and I could talk about this for a long time. I guess we'll start with teacher pay. I think education was a big theme. I was hearing Senator Applewhite mention proposed raises, and I've heard sort of the same ballpark, 7 to 8%. And there's not just teachers across the board in state government. We have a 25% vacancy rate in state government, which should trouble every person in here because everybody in here pays taxes. You're paying for 100% of the services and getting 75% of the output. And that's just because people in state government are overworked and underpaid. We have a 37% attrition rate in the first year, meaning that people going into state government are leaving. Two out of 5 essentially are leaving after that first year, and so that tells me that who we have in state government are people who've been there 10, 15, 20 years who feel like alternative employment isn't a viable option because they're close to retirement. Our education pipeline is drawing up. In the House, we've passed another measure to kind of help with that. It's not a solution. It's a Band-Aid to a much larger problem that would make it easier for teachers coming from out of state to get their license in North Carolina. If they have 3 years of experience in another state, they're in good standing, and that other state has substantially similar licensure requirements. I've heard a lot about the tax cuts, and we talk about the voucher program, which allows for tax dollars to go to private schools, and there's the expansion of that program to allow for all families, regardless of income, to qualify. And also remove a requirement that a child has ever attended public school, and that's going to divert, in Cumberland County alone, $17 million is an estimate of the money or funding our public schools would lose. And that issue doesn't exist in a silo. When we talk about these tax cuts, and by 2030, we're talking about phasing out the corporate income tax and reducing the personal income tax to 2.5%. I think everybody in here can appreciate having a little bit extra money in their pocket, but I don't think we've seen the real effect of this lost tax revenue. To some extent, it's been masked by temporary prosperity with COVID money, with federal dollars. We haven't seen that real effect and what it will do for our public services, including our public schools. So I think everybody should be concerned about that, and it's something we have to combat in the General Assembly. 747 and 749, what those bills actually do. 747, I think someone hit on this earlier, same-day registration. So if you go to early vote, you register to vote on that day, your ballot would be provisional, meaning that it is subject to much more scrutiny, more hands have to touch it. It also costs the county money, and I'll say this, the bill doesn't allocate additional funding to the counties to perform that duty. Cumberland County estimate $300,000 it would cost our county to review these provisional ballots if historical numbers stay consistent. Absentee ballots, we mentioned that three-day grace period being taken away. It will also require a signature verification for all absentee ballots. Right now, we have a witness requirement, and it would also, on top of the witness requirement, require a signature verification requirement, which we might be the only state in the country with both. It would make our absentee ballot requirements the strictest in the country. And then 749, it's just going to create gridlock. State Board of Education, 8 members, 4 from each party. And when gridlock occurs, what happens is the General Assembly becomes the arbiter, the judge, the jury, and we know who's the majority in the General Assembly and where that will go. So I think what you're seeing with these voting right bills is, the majority in the General Assembly trying to control who votes, when they vote, how they vote, and if there's any issue, they're going to be the judges. I know this is not a partisan event, but we won't be judges up here. I'll say that. I heard gun violence, and I'll try to hit on that quickly. A lot of that deals with just where we are in the General Assembly and the makeup of the General Assembly. I know that our party, Democrats, we have filed a number of what I believe are common sense gun safety measures that would help to address this issue that we're seeing across our state and in our community. Outside of a safe storage initiative, an education initiative across the state, there really hasn't been much appetite. I'm hopeful for one bill, House Bill 56, which would provide a tax credit of $500 for people to purchase a gun lock and or a safe storage device, somewhere to keep their gun, to keep it out of hands of people who could potentially use the firearm recklessly. And I will say a big thing, there was a House Bill 189, which would have gone farther than House Bill 40, or Senate Bill 41, and allowed for permitless concealed carry. So you could carry a concealed handgun without getting a permit. That bill, we were going to vote on that on May 3rd or May 4th, right before the crossover deadline, so the last day that bills from the House can go to the Senate. It was on the calendar. It was on my screen. It was removed from the calendar because the Sheriff's Association came out against it. And that deserves some applause. And I think a lot of that has to do with people pushing back and just realizing how reckless some of these bills are given our climate. And so the makeup in the General Assembly is what it is. I think advocacy and talking to people in law enforcement who, you know, have some influence, that will be helpful, and I'm sorry.
You're good. And we will just say, your lawmakers are here. If you've got questions about what they just said, I'm sure we'll have time to mingle and ask questions afterwards. So, Representative Jackson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Common Cause and all the other organizations for putting this on this afternoon and you all coming. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Frances Jackson. I am the representative for District 45, which includes Hope Mills and some of the city of Fayetteville along Bingham Drive. As an educator here in Cumberland County, you are singing to the choir. I have great concerns about the pay raises for teachers. It's already been touched upon, but I just need to let you know that I spoke with the superintendent, and we do have a shortage of teachers. As of yesterday, I think we're down 135 teachers, and they want to know why. Pay. I know the House suggested in the budget that we do 5.5% each year for educators, and then again in the Senate, they've made changes, and with that being said, we have educators who are not coming back this year. I have great concerns about that and the Opportunity Scholarship. That's another. I understand when parents want their kids to go to other schools to get the education that they need, but you're taking resources from public school. They go to the private school, decide they don't want to stay there, and they come back to the public school, but the money doesn't come back. That is not fair to us. We are required to be certified teachers. We are required to go to school. They are not. And where we are going with this is that you're going to have the behavior children and the disabled children at public schools, and the others are going to go. It's another form of segregation, and it's not fair. So just to speak to a few of the other bills, before educator, I was a community planner in the community and a transportation planner, and I'm concerned about the environment. That's one of my concerns of why I ran, and it's making the wetlands non-existent. It's going to impact not only our livability but our health. So yes, we have bills that were presented to us, and we voted along the lines that concern that you all will be proud of us. But they did not pass. They did not pass to benefit us, but the other side. So those are those individuals who want to build homes and they want to forget about the wetlands. Unfortunately, all that passed. We voted along those lines. So just to say that we are doing our part. We are voting for you. We hear you. And we're voting along those lines, but like my colleagues have said, we are in the minority. And I say this all the time when I see my constituents, they say that we want this, we want that, and I'm like, did you vote? Yes. Did you vote? And I say this to my students, I am an adjunct here at FTCC. Midterm elections hit your personal life closer than the presidential election. We lost the court system this last election. So, yes, we are doing, our colleagues, we are doing all we can. We're looking out for your children. That Parents' Rights Bill, we already have that in the handbooks at the schools. They put that there, repeated it, and slid in this pronoun deal that they want you all, and banning books. So I'm just saying that when you all are out here and you all are reading and listening and saying how we voted or we didn't do this or we didn't do that, look at the bill and see what else is tied in that bill or why we didn't do what you feel like we should have done. So thank you for the opportunity to speak and to speak to you, former Senator. Before we left, The other side of the aisle had a meeting with the State Board of Elections. So I would say the processes that they've put in place are a done deal. I do believe that. I mean, they want to make sure that everything that they put in place and they want it works. And they assure them that it works. So they have met with them. They had the opportunity to meet with them. We have not. I don't know that we will, but that other side of the aisle did meet with the State Board of Elections, and those bills that they put in place out, I'm almost certain that they will be what we will live by.
All right.
Thank you.
Nope, sorry. Round of applause for our 3 state lawmakers who are here. Now, to close out, friends, I know we kept you a little bit longer, but we're going to close out here on this event. But I want to go back to that slide that was just before. Can we go back to that real quick? Now, Representative Lucas told us he couldn't be here tonight, but I want you to notice, I want you to look around the room. I want you to look to the front. I want you to notice the difference between who's on the screen and who's here. And this is just a fact. This is a nonpartisan town hall, but we reached out to Senator McInnes and Representative Wheatley 2 times, Lisette 3 times, and we asked them to be here, and if they couldn't be here, to tell us why they couldn't, if they had a statement. And they didn't. They didn't come. They didn't come to hear what you said, but you said and you spoke anyway. We've captured it on video camera, and I want you to know that one of our goals, one of our strong goals from this event is to share everything you said with all those state lawmakers and make sure that they have to hear no matter what, whether we have to email them or we have to call them or we got to show up at the General Assembly to reiterate what you said or we got to use carrier pigeon. Everything you said tonight is going to be shared with them. And if you are upset that Senator McInnes and Representative Wheatley couldn't even respond to decline coming, we want you to take a photo of their contact information right here, right now. And we want you to send them a message. And we will be also sending you a message of what you said tonight to send to them as well. Because it is policies like those voting barriers, like those uncompetitive districts, that make them believe that they don't have to show up and answer to you. Now, some of your lawmakers did, but a lot of your lawmakers didn't. And so, what are we going to do in 2023 and 2024, folks? We're going to vote. How many people are going to vote in this room? All right, I know all of you are going to vote. How many of you are going to, oh, I got cut off. They're saying we got to go home. How many of you are going to bring 5 friends with you to vote in 2023 and 2024? How many of you are going to vote for your teachers and for your children in schools? How many of you are going to vote for a cleaner and safer environment? That's right. That's right. How many of you are going to vote for not tax cuts, but resources back into our communities? So we are here tonight to remind ourselves that what unites us is more than what divides us, that there are some lawmakers who want to hear from us, and regardless, we're going to make the other ones hear from us whether they want to or not. So we're going to close out the event here, but I want to make one thing clear. We're going to have Lisette close us out, but there is this gray magic box of mystery. We do want to hear from you. You have cards that were on your chair, things about asking you what you want from the future of North Carolina, the issues that matter to you. On your way out, please drop those cards in here. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, yes, and then Senator Applewhite will make 1 point, and then we'll close out with Lisette. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Just very quickly, I wanted to follow up with what Representative Jackson said. I want you all to know that Cumberland County has more opportunity scholarships issued than any other county in the state, right? So we're pulling more money out of Cumberland County than any other county, and we need to work to figure out why that is happening here in Cumberland County. So her points are very valid. I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you all. And Lisette Rodriguez, close us out.
Yeah, just in closing, I wanted to also speak to an issue that I have been working on here locally in Fayetteville that I'm hoping our state lawmakers can help us out with. I'm a part of a group called Say Yes to OCS. OCS stands for Office of Community Safety. We got together about a year ago, and I have 2 of my founding members with me, Angela Malloy and Sean McMillan. They're here. And we got together as a group in addition to a couple other folks. And we decided to push for change here in Fayetteville, and we started doing town halls and educating the public as to what an Office of Community Safety looks like. And for those who don't know, an Office of Community Safety is a community-based approach to public safety that can include things like mental health responders, social workers for our unhoused community, violence interruption programs, and independent police oversight boards. I know in Fayetteville we have had a lot of issues with our police department. We lost 2 community members last year when they were killed during a mental health crisis. They were shot by police officers. And most recently, one of our members captured a Fayetteville police officer taking food from an unhoused man who was sitting under a tree eating his dinner during 4th Friday. And that's not how we should treat our fellow community members, as if they are animals, as if they don't matter just because they don't look right in our downtown area. But so that said, there's a couple things at the state level that have to change in order for us to get independent police oversight in Fayetteville, because right now what's available to us doesn't really have any teeth, and they can't really make changes that are necessary. Essentially, to put it a little bow on it, in order for our city to get that independent police oversight board, they actually technically have to get permission from our General Assembly, and we probably know that they would not approve that for Fayetteville or possibly other cities in North Carolina. So that is an issue that we're working on, and the city actually just established an Office of Community Safety in June. So they are going to be allocating $250,000 to hire a director of an Office of Community Safety who will then build out those 4 pillars that I talked to you about earlier. And I'm hoping that you guys up here can help us get some money from the state level to help fund our Office of Community Safety. I know they've done similar things in Greensboro, so that's something that our community has been really receptive to, and I hope we continue to make progress. But I will close it out here. Oh, yes, that's right. The application for a director of an Office of Community Safety went up online on Sunday, so if you know anybody who might fit that role, you can find it online at the Fayetteville government website. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out, and we'll be doing more events like this in Fayetteville with Common Cause. We'll be doing some phone banking, other educational events. So thank you all for coming, and give it up for our representatives who came out today. And give it up for yourselves.